A long time ago, a young man approached Gautam Buddha with restlessness in his eyes. Master, he said, I have traveled far and wide, seeking knowledge. I've studied scriptures, listened to wise men, and asked countless questions. But still, I feel lost. I want to find truth. I want to find myself. Where should I look next? Buddha smiled gently, looked into the man's eyes, and pointed to a clear, still pond nearby. Sit by the water, he said. When your mind is as still as its surface, you shall see your own reflection, not just of your face, but of your soul. The man followed Buddha's instructions. Days passed. He sat silently, watching the water, watching his thoughts. Slowly, the ripples of his restless mind began to settle. And then, in that moment of quiet clarity, he saw not just his image, but the deeper truth Buddha spoke of, that what he had been searching for outside had always been within. This timeless story reflects a truth we often forget in our fast-paced, screen-filled lives. In an age where answers are just a few taps away and Google seems to know everything, we are tempted to believe that fulfillment lies outside us. In information, in things, in achievements. But the journey that truly transforms is the one that turns inward. In a bustling city, wrapped in the endless noise of progress, where deadlines dictated emotions and notifications shaped decisions, lived a young man named Arjun. At 28, he had everything that the modern world deemed important. A well-paying job, the latest gadgets, a car that turned heads, and an apartment that looked like it came straight out of an interior design magazine. Yet, despite all this, there was a strange emptiness within him, a silent question echoing louder with each passing day. Who am I, really? Arjun's days began with a scroll and ended with a swipe. Google answered every question he asked. How to cook, how to work out, how to negotiate, how to fix a flat tire. But no matter how many answers he found online, the one thing he truly sought couldn't be typed into a search bar. How do I find myself? He would whisper in his mind, but there was no trending article or tutorial video for that. One evening, after yet another soulless meeting and a lonely dinner surrounded by glowing screens, Arjun stumbled upon an old diary in a dusty box tucked under his childhood bed during a visit to his parents' home. The yellowed pages held scribbles from when he was 12. Dreams of becoming a writer, sketches of imaginary lands, poems about clouds and stars. He read them with a lump in his throat, realizing he had buried parts of himself under the weight of real life. It was then that he decided to take a break. A real one. He applied for a sabbatical, much to the shock of his peers who couldn't fathom stepping away from the rat race. With a small backpack and no itinerary, Arjun began a journey not across places but into himself. He traveled to the mountains not to conquer peaks but to breathe. He visited villages where people knew nothing of stock markets but knew the value of a smile, a sunset, a shared cup of tea. With each step, he shed layers. Layers of self-doubt, of comparisons, of the need to prove anything to anyone. In a forest clearing under a starlit sky, he met an old monk who simply said, "The world can give you answers, but only silence will show you the right questions." Arjun sat with that thought for days. In the quiet, he heard the music of his own heart again. In solitude, he found the comfort of his own company. He began writing again. Not for an audience, not for likes or shares, but for himself. He wrote about everything he felt, the confusion, the clarity, the chaos, the calm. And somewhere between those lines, he found pieces of himself he thought he had lost. It was in those pages that he discovered a new definition of success. Not in titles or possessions, but in peace, purpose, and presence. When he finally returned to the city, nothing around him had changed, but he had. He no longer needed constant stimulation to feel alive. He didn't fear missing out because he had already found what mattered. Friends noticed the change. He smiled more. He listened deeply. He made time for what brought him joy, not just profit. He still used Google, of course, it was helpful. But now he knew. All he truly needed had been within him all along. The lesson Arjun learned was simple yet profound. The world has Google, but your soul has the answers. When you stop chasing everything outside, you start hearing the whispers within. Life becomes less about finding the right algorithm and more about trusting your own rhythm. Success isn't about reaching a destination others admire, it's about walking a path that feels like home. We live in a time where comparison is constant and validation is often measured in numbers. But Arjun's journey reminds us that the most powerful search engine is not on the internet. It's our heart. All the world's knowledge can inform us, but only inner awareness can transform us. The bravest thing you can do is pause, look inward, and ask, who am I beneath the noise? You see, peace doesn't scream. It whispers. Joy doesn't come wrapped in boxes, it blooms in moments. Growth isn't always loud, sometimes it's silent, slow, and unseen. And clarity doesn't always come from answers, it often arises from the courage to sit with the questions. In a world that's always telling you who to be, choosing to find out who you truly are is an act of rebellion, of freedom, of ultimate wisdom. So the next time you find yourself lost, don't reach for your phone, reach for your soul. All you truly need is to find yourself within. For everything else, yes, the world has Google. And that, dear friends, is the most powerful journey of all. The one from your head to your heart, from confusion to clarity, from distraction to direction. Don't be afraid to disconnect from the world for a while, to reconnect with yourself. The path to fulfillment begins the moment you realize you're not incomplete. You're just waiting to meet the most authentic version of yourself. Start that journey today. The answers are already waiting inside you. If this video inspired you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more motivation, and share it with someone who needs a boost today. Until next time, stay motivated, stay inspired, and keep shining. See you in the next video. Shubham Bhavtu.